Hello, you all. Thank you for coming in and clicking on the channel. I want to offer you another reaction video today, and it is from the viral video of the Breakfast Club with Vivek Ramaswamy and his interaction with Tezlyn Figaro. There's certain parts of the video that I want to communicate on. So let's come on in and take a look at it. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, consider subscribing to the channel. My name is Vanessa. Thank you for giving me some of your time. Okay, you all, let's take a look at this Breakfast Club interview between Vivek Ramaswamy and Tezlyn Figaro.
That's what makes this country beautiful, and that's why that's why I'm in this. You ask me, why am I in this? I care about reviving pride in that nation, because if we get into the habit of just bashing that country, what are we bashing? We're bashing the last best hope that man has for aspiring to those ideals. Tell me who else has done better. I'll wait.
I don't think I'm bashing the country. I think I'm bashing the system.
Okay.
I want to change. I want to change the system. That's
well, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I'm with you on changing the system. It's what brings me into this.
And what's your thoughts on some of the people that you're running against, Donald Trump and DeSantis? What are your thoughts on them and their leadership and what they've done for the country so far?
You know, I think everybody's made their respective contributions. I respect some things about what each of them have done. I think the Republican Party, I tell this to conservative audiences all the time, obsesses over the question of the who. You know, Ronna McDaniel, she was the chair of the Republican Party versus somebody else, or Kevin McCarthy or somebody else, or Donald Trump or somebody else. This is a superficial discussion versus actually just taking a step back, and the Republican Party does not do this enough. What do we stand for, and why do we stand for it? Actually, a lot of my criticisms are also directed at the fact that we define ourselves, when I say we, I'm running as a Republican, but as a party in opposition to something. All right, that's what Joe Biden did. That's what the radical left does. And race, gender, sexuality, climate. I'm opposed to a lot of these ideologies of identity, but the right falls into the trap of just saying we're not those things. And then we'll fight about which biographies win. Oh, I'm actually a bigger and more accomplished person than you, and I'm going to sling mud at you, versus asking the question of what do we actually stand for? For me, it's about individual, family, nation, God. You can agree or disagree, but at least that's a vision that's different from a vision of identity grounded on race and gender and sexuality and climate. And so that's a long way of saying, I guess, what I see as deficient in the field, and the entire Republican field, including candidates you mentioned, is they're all running from something. And I'm in this race because I want us to run to something.
What is that something?
A vision of what it means to be American. Okay? Revive the ideals of 1776. Revive the truth. Meritocracy, excellence, freedom of speech, rule of law. A radical idea. This is not a Democrat or Republican idea, that the people we elect to run the government ought to at least be the ones who actually run the government. That's not the case today. You want to talk about fixing the system. You want to talk about one of the myths where we fall short of our ideals. We're taught in school that we have 3 branches of government. They're irrelevant compared to who actually runs the government. It's a 4th branch of government of 3-letter agencies in Washington, D.C. That is a formula for corruption. Corruption we get. That's a system we need to break down.
Who are those 3?
I mean, you could go down the list. SEC, FDA, EPA, TSA. The tens of thousands of government bureaucrats working in Washington, D.C., they're the ones who actually make the laws. It's not Congress. And that's a formula. And those people aren't elected. Nobody elected them. They're protected by these what are called civil service protections, which means even the president, technically, under many people's beliefs, can't fire them. That's the permanent state, what many in the right will call the deep state. I think that's a problem. I think that falls short of our ideals. I think the same FBI that threatened Martin Luther King with suicide on the back of incorrectly collected tapes is now committing, I would say, hypocrisy and corrupt actions against people of a different political persuasion that the FBI doesn't like today. I just think it's a formula for corruption when you have unelected bureaucrats that are actually setting policy. But that's a detail compared to my point, which is we need to revive the ideals that the nation was actually founded on and do a better job of aspiring to them.
Now we have Tezlyn Figaro. I'm sure Tezlyn has some questions. Tez, you good?
Yes, I do. So I've heard a lot of, what you think and your vision, and I'm a very practical person, and I want to kind of, opposed to talking about your opponents, let's talk about you for a moment, and let's actually talk about your policy. Explain to me your position on this civic duty voting.
Sure. So my position is I think that every kid who graduates from high school should know the minimums about the country that we require an immigrant to know about the country in order to become a citizen. So there's a test. My mom had to pass it. Every immigrant has to pass it to this country that asks you some basic questions. What are the three branches of government? What branch of government does the U.S. president lead? Some basic questions about what is the Bill of Rights. It's like a multiple choice exam, or some of them you write in. I think that if we're going to ask immigrants to pass that test, as we should, I think every 18-year-old who graduates from high school should have to pass that as well, because young people, it goes back to that issue of pride. You don't value a country that you don't know something about. You don't value something you inherit. You value something you have a stake in creating, in building, or knowing something about. So how do we think big about this? Well, young people, as I told you, most of them, very few of them vote as it stands today. Super small numbers. And apparently 60% of them say they would rather give up their right to vote than give up TikTok. Well, I say, all right, let's take that to the next level. How about we do something that raises the voting age from 18 to 25, but you still get to vote at 18 if you just pass that same civics test that an immigrant has to pass in order to vote. And tests aren't for everybody, so be it. Then you at least serve in the military or a first responder role for 6 months. That's my civic duty voting proposal. And the reason is, I'll actually make a prediction. I think youth voting in this country will skyrocket. From a very low level right now, it will skyrocket because you value something you actually have to earn. And I think that this is not a left-wing or right-wing point. We all have duties as citizens, right? You know, we aspire to free market capitalism, right? Materialist advance. And that's the life I've lived as well, by the way. My parents came to this country with not a lot of money. I've lived the American dream. I've made a lot of money by building businesses. That's one side of what it means to be an American. But part of it is we also have duties to this country. And I think the more we wake that up, actually, the voting age only became 18 in 1971 in the context of the Vietnam draft. So I just think reviving those ideas is going to be good for us.
A lot. So let's prove your point. Nick, our camera guy, do you know the three branches of the federal government?
Over 24, so it don't matter.
But I'm just saying, but nobody knows there are 24. Red, do you know the three branches?
Executive.
Well, I got a test. I would like to see if you're willing to pass, because I believe in, just as you believe in civic engagement, I believe in changing the ideas of what political opponents look like, what they should look like, or political candidates. Are you willing to take a test with me quickly? Because I just have a couple of questions for you.
I will, absolutely. And the way this is opening up, I have a feeling I'm about to fail it, but that's good. Let's do it.
That's right, yeah. Just for clarity, I am an independent. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. Cool. I think that's important for the premise of the argument, because I know you did a lot of debating at Harvard. I also want to make it clear these are the same questions that I asked liberal Democrat Marianne Williamson. So I want to make sure that we put that out there as well, just to kind of set the foundation.
I'm open to being humbled. Let's do this.
Okay, great. Let's go. So you mentioned, the pride of being an American and how important it is to have pride in this country. I'm also a veteran, by the way, for the United States Air Force. So when is it that you voted for the first time?
I voted in 2020.
Okay, so you're how old again?
I'm 37 years old.
So for how many years you sat around and did not get involved at all in any civic engagement? Is that my understanding?
A long time is the answer. And actually, that's what I wrote this book about. I'm not holding myself out as some sort of model. I'm actually offering myself as a self-reflection of my journey as a citizen, to whom this country has given much, right? As an adult, when you have kids, it changes your perspectives. I'm very honest about that. Absolutely. Okay,
no problem. So let's go deeper into the self-reflection. So you've sat around for, and sir, I'm being as respectful as I possibly can. Please don't take anything
and you don't even have to be. And you don't even have to be. So take it off and let's go.
So you've been sitting around in the country that my ancestors built for about 20 years. Your parents came over as immigrants, brought you over. You made millions, according to your resume, off of this country, and you have absolutely not been involved in civics. One, not voting, and two, let me just ask, because I know you mentioned earlier you don't want to sit around at the debate and talk about accomplishments. Let's make the accomplishments pretty simple. In high school, were you ever a class president or take any leadership role? Because your opponent did, Chris Christie, he was the class president. So have you ever taken any leadership at all on anything, or just?
Can I just correct a couple factual things that are kind of important? My parents didn't bring me over to the country. I was
Okay,
born in
scratch
this
that off
country, and
then.
I'm proud
No,
of that.
no, I know you were born here in Ohio.
Yeah.
Ohio.
You mentioned my
I'm
parents
saying your
brought me
parents
o-
were
You
immigrants.
said-
My
and
apologies.
and that's all right. You said your parents brought you over to this country. I
Yeah,
thought I
my
would set
apologies.
that record straight.
I mean, they were immigrants, but let's
They
not
were
go down the
immigrants.
water.
Oh,
Just to pause there for a second. If she's interviewing him and asking him questions, and she make the assertion that his family brought him here, he can't run for president. According to the requirements to run for president, you have to be native born here. So this is starting off wrong. Her questioning, her gender.
No, we're not going to water. I just want to correct a couple facts, and then the other thing is,
You were born here in Ohio.
I was
correct?
born in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's right.
Right. So
Yeah.
you've been here your entire life. So the question
That's
is,
right.
did you take any leadership role in middle school, high school, class president?
I did.
I know
yeah,
you played
yeah.
tennis. What is it? Explain it to us.
Student council. But I think that this is yes, I've held leadership roles over my life, but those don't qualify me to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
That's
it kind of
just-
does.
Okay,
well, it
well,
kind of does. Well, I'm giving the test. I'm the test
Okay,
administrator.
all right, there you go.
So it kind of does, because when you go from saying I want to go to the highest office,
And I'll tell
of
you,
the land-
I've led companies as well. Is the other leader?
Right,
The
well,
main leadership
right, but-
role I've played is and I want to talk about one early part of your premise that I also want to say, to bring it to the country point. The other point, you use the word sitting around. I'm not somebody who's saying I want the next generation, my kids' generation, to have more civic duties when they graduate from high school and college than I did when I did. That being said, I wasn't sitting around. I've developed medicines, 5 of which are FDA-approved products today, one of which is a life-saving therapy in kids, 20 of whom die by the age of 3 if they're not treated, 70% of whom now live lives of a normal duration. Another one for prostate cancer. So I don't apologize
excuse
for
me,
making
sir.
contributions. But
right. Well, I don't want you to filibuster that
No worries.
because
Just
that's
not
not
sitting-
the question that I asked. And I don't consider, as a veteran, I'm talking about service. I'm not talking about what you
Civic
did for
service,
profit. I'm not talking about what you paid people to do with
Yeah,
your
so I've
company. I'm
not
not talking
served-
about
I've
that
not served the country
because that
in the way
means
you
nothing
have.
to me.
You do
what I'm
realize
talking,
she
what
hasn't
I
been
am
able to ask a question. She's been trying to
Go
ask
for
a
it,
question,
yeah.
and you've been talking over her.
I'm
and
all ears.
We gave you the platform to let you say.
She was
what
a little
you said.
defensive.
I'm all ears.
she
No,
hasn't-
I was
she
just
hasn't-
correcting
she
a couple
hasn't had a chance
facts,
to
that's
ask a
all.
question yet. Every
Go
time
ahead,
she
Ted,
tries
ask
to
the
ask a
question.
question, you've been cutting her off. Go ahead,
I'm
Ted.
all ears.
Right. So your question, so my question again is, you're trying to, your goal is to raise the standard, and you're saying you want people to believe in country and you want people to have civic engagement. And sir, I just find it very telling that you haven't had any civic engagement at all and haven't been at all. And when I say sit around, I don't mean you haven't done anything. I'm talking about in regards to service, because one thing about political office, the same way that you want to change how people look at politics and look at this country, I want to change how people look at politicians. And when I see that someone hasn't did anything at all to be of service to mankind, to take a leadership role, it's not good enough to just be on city student council. Were you a leader? All of that applies. Have you been able to get anybody in the room at any time, from a high school gymnasium to Ohio, Republican leadership there to now? Have you been able to get anybody in a room to believe in this vision? I don't agree with a lot of your vision statement, but I do know you've been going around having these discussions and getting everybody emotionally worked up to talk about vision and debate. But I want to get to the practical. You're trying to go from preschool to president of the United States. You're skipping over city council, county council, mayor, governor. You want to go straight to the top. So my question is this a PR? Is this for the PR, the perception of reality? Or can you point to any leadership where you've been able to get people to believe in what you're talking about that they're not paid to do on any of these vision statements that you have? If not, then to me, it's a moot point, because you're holding a standard that you haven't met yourself.
So if you're only going to count government service, you're absolutely
No, not government
right.
service.
Okay.
Student council in the 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th. Were you
Yeah.
a leader? Did you?
Now, I believe he did say he was served on the student council.
Did you do anything to rally anybody? Did you fight for better lunch? I did in the 6th grade with Miss Harris.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about government. I can go all the way back from the 5th grade every year, sir, because people who are in service to this country, if you're going to go around saying you want people to believe in this country that I signed up to die for, then I want to make sure that you're holding that same standard. So not government, not political. Let's not get it confused. I'm saying, have you did anything of service that we can point to say he is a good leader? Like Chris, and I'm not even a fan of Chris Christie, but he was the student council president in high school. So have you done anything of service besides yourself that has not benefited yourself? It's just a simple question.
I just want to stop right there. We don't go any further with that. That energy is common. Her questioning is not such an issue with questioning someone. Question a person. With all of her energy, her mannerisms, she's coming off, as some say in other reactions that I saw, combative. She's brash and she's mean. I've seen some of her other interviews. I think it's phenomenal that she gets involved in her community. She seems to be a lady who's informed and she believes in getting involved. And she pushes for state and local level involvement and in government. And she promotes and encourages other people to do the same. Get out and get involved with something. If you get involved with rallying people to push a wagon down the road, then rally those people and get the wagon to moving. And if you all are interested in watching more of the interview, she goes on to challenge him. She thinks that his agenda, his motive is wrong, that he is just interested in running on the conservative and Republican ticket so that he can get the Republicans to like him. I don't think that's the agenda. Her questioning is not in sync to anything that matters toward position of presidency. High school involvement, middle school involvement. He answered her question. She wanted to know if he'd been of service to mankind. The man has developed medication. Is that not giving service to mankind? Another thing is, hearing her other interviews, and lady, I commend you, Miss Tez, for how you get involved. But from what you're pushing is an insurrection. You say that you're for your people and describing your people as black people. That's your prerogative if that's what you want to do. And it's not necessarily that you're talking against the Democrats or talking in favor of the Democrats or the Republicans for or against. You're talking about specifically white people that you're coming against. This whole question is off. It don't have a real good basis. What I see this as, and I'm going to pull up 2 other videos that this kind of goes in sync with.
Go back to India. Go back to India. Why? We don't want you here. We don't want you here. If we're in your country, then stay there. We were not talking to you. You came here. Get lost. Oh, come closer. Come closer. Oh my God, guys, record. She's hitting me. She's hitting me. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, she's hitting me. She's hitting me. Hello, yes, we are in the hospital of the 50 months and this woman just attacked us. I'd like to...
Women behaving badly.
She is just accusing us. She's making racist slurs. She came to hit my friend and she's coming back to me right now. She's standing in front of me. We have it all on video. We are 4 of us. Yeah, and she threatened us with... Okay. She's a white woman wearing a black dress.
No, I'm not white. I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican. And I paid my fucking way here.
Oh my God, she's hitting my friend now.
I am not hitting your friend. You guys are all about...
I don't know, but she just hit my hand. She tried to hit my phone away.
I'm in a video.
I'm at the 69 parking
Oh,
lot.
here.
Can you please send
Here's
some help?
Oh, these fucking Indians. They come to America because they want a better life.
Yes,
But
please.
they're obviously not living the great life in India.
No, she has a bag, but I'm scared.
If we even talk to you, why did you walk up to us to talk to you?
Yes.
Because I hate these fucking Indians. That's why. If you guys come to our country...
If you are Mexican, why don't you go back to Mexico?
And you want
You guys say you're Mexican. How does that make
I'm a Mexican American. I was born here.
makes you think that we are not
Were you
American?
born here?
What makes you think that we are
Because
not?
of the way you speak. Because I'm a Mexican American.
Entitlement. Same attitude, same energy, same behavior. That's a mindset. Let's look at one other.
The encounter captured on video ended in violence and arrest.
I was shocked in the moment, but looking at it now, it wasn't surprising to hear coming out of her mouth.
Sydney Waters says Friday's incident at the McHenry Home Depot left her with bruises. It began, she says, when this woman, identified by police as Terry Hill of McHenry, removed her face covering to complain to a store employee about others not wearing masks. That's when Waters says she told Hill she should cover up too.
She didn't appreciate being told that and ripped her mask off and started going for the gold, that she was going to spit in my face, she was going to cough on me.
Video shows Hill displaying a middle finger, which we've blurred, and then making racist comments.
The entitlement is disgusting.
Yes, I am entitled. I'm white. I'm a woman.
What does you being white have to do with you being able to get your way?
Because I'm a white woman. That's what happens.
You're a disgusting, racist piece of trash, literally.
I believe in white power.
When Waters tried to record Hill's face,
she clocked me and then we were both down.
After viewing the video, police arrested Hill for misdemeanor battery.
Women behaving badly. Same energy, all three videos. There's Tezlyn, the lady in this saying that she believes in white power. And the video before that, where the Mexican-American woman accused the Indian women of being here in this country and just want to soak up and suck up the resources. No human decency and dignity. You know the Karen meme that got started around 2018? Same thing. That is what all three of these examples are. Now, from the Wikipedia definition, and I jotted it down here, the Karen meme was a pejorative term for white women seeming entitled or demanding beyond the scope of what is normal. It does not matter who we are women. Women behaving badly with this Karen behavior, they're all a Karen. So either we're going to take that Karen statement and lift it up off of the white women and toss it away, or we all, or not all, because all women don't behave that way. The women who behave that way in any identity of ethnicity, Karen behavior. So we need some Karen Africans, Karen white, Karen Asian, Karen Indian, Karen Mexican, Karen everybody. We need more Karens. Not respecting another woman. What gives you the right to disregard and disrespect another woman? Is she supposed to behave and think the way you want her to think? You want to walk directly into her soul. It comes from jealousy or envy, and both are very common energy traits that comes out of the root of evil that you harbor, you wear, you live, and you don't depart from it. No human can change his own mind. The God of creation has to do that. Now, this is from my Christian perspective. You don't yield under the living God, you can't go to church to get it changed. You can't go to a seminar. You can't go to a training. You can't go to school. You can't go to some type of clinic and get your energy changed out and whatever type of swap of energy treatment. That can't happen. You must surrender. Surrender yourself and fall into the hands of the living God and let him remake your nature. Because your nature is evil when you don't respect your fellow human. You will make up narratives on them. You're attempting to murder their character. If you have to draw out a situation, get some more people in alliance with you. Just draw the situation, just like this lady said, the one who said, I believe in white power. Then if that is your mindset, you would draw up a situation on a person and you will pass it off as a truth. Bring all your energy to it. It don't have to have any truth to it. Just fabricate it. And then have the mindset, who gonna believe you over me? I'm white. It's my story. I painted it. So you paint a picture of somebody, of a person in another person's mind. Slander. And it comes out of jealousy. No matter what you do, you have to pay for your own sins spiritually. The God of creation won't let you get away with your bad behavior. So going back to Tezlyn Figaro, her question had bad motive to it. She definitely was not listening to him. She asked him, did you serve on student council at any point? He initially said that because she kept pushing school activities but ignoring school activities when he answered. Her conversation would have been over. She was striking for white people and not being honest about it. And that's a common behavior amongst a lot of women. Not all women and not all African American women, but a whole lot. A whole lot wear that very same energy that she wears. And I don't dislike Tezlyn. I hope that she repents. She can stand for people, as she said, her people, but calling and rallying for people because you say it's civic service, if that's the type of rallying you're doing to get people riled up and inciting them into anger, that's a wrong type and a bad type of rally. Thank you all for coming in and listening to this video. Take care.